All right, let's continue here. So we are right here about talking about the schoolhouse. Let's just reread that. I had Miss Hill for only a year. After that, Miss Balua McMillan was our teacher. We called her Miss Balua. She had been a teacher for a long time and had taught my mother when she was a girl. My mother had a picture of the same little school with the students in front of the schoolhouse on the steps, in rows on the steps and down on the ground. The shorter ones and the boys were on their knees on the ground. My mother never wanted me to show it to anybody because it was a real battered up old picture, but I liked it. I used to take my magnifying glass and look at the faces, which were very small. Bottom of 33. I liked Miss Balua, and I liked school. We had fun there. At recess, the girls would play what we called ring games, like little Sally Walker sitting in the saucer, rise, Sally, rise, and ring around the roses. The boys would play ball. I don't think the girls played much ball at school. We used to play at home a little bit. My mother would buy us a ball, and we'd have to be very careful because pretty soon a rubber ball would be lost. It didn't last too long. We called what we played baseball. I wasn't too active in it because if I tried to be active, I'd fall down and get hurt. I wasn't very good when it came to running sports. Some of the older boys at school were very good at running sports and playing ball. They were also the ones who were responsible for wood at the school. Page 34. The larger boys would go out and cut the wood and bring it in. Sometimes a parent would load a wagon up with some wood and bring it to school, and the boys would unload the wagon and bring the wood inside. They didn't have to do this at the white school. The town or county took care of heating at the white school. I remember that when I was very young, they built a new school for the white children not very far from where we lived. And of course, we had to pass by it. It was a nice brick building and it still stands there today. I found out later that it was built with public money, meaning the taxes paid by both the whites and blacks were paying for that school. Okay, so the whites, they went to school, they didn't have to worry about heating. The blacks had to cut down wood that therefore created fires to heat up their building when it got cold. Okay? Black people had to build and heat their own schools without the help of the town or county or state. Another difference between our school and the white school was that we went for only 5 months, while they went for 9 months. Many of the black children were needed by their families to plow and plant in the spring and harvest in the fall. Their families were sharecroppers like my grandparents' neighbors. Sharecroppers worked land owned by plantation owners, and they got to keep a portion of the crop they grew. The rest they had to give to the owner of the plantation. So they needed their children to help. At the time I started school, we went only from late fall to early spring. I was aware of the big difference between blacks and whites by the time I started school. I had heard my grandfather's stories about how badly he was treated by the white overseer when he was a boy. My mother told me stories the old people had told her about slavery times. I remember she told me that the slaves had to fool the white people into thinking they were happy. The white people would get angry if the slaves acted unhappy. They would also treat the slaves better if they thought the slaves liked white people.